Hey, Dave. Good to see you. Hey, Dennis. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too, Ty. Dave, I'm doing well. I'm
Awesome.
hanging in there.
Awesome. Well, tonight we're going to talk about a few things. We're going to talk about what's your favorite guitar, what's your best guitar, and are they one and the same?
Mm-hmm.
And Dennis is going to talk a little bit about being a gigging musician and what the coronavirus has done to his paycheck, so to speak, and things that a musician can do, a gigging musician can do to kind of subsidize that. And I'm going to talk about one as well that I actually started noticing yesterday that people can do, which I thought was a great idea. So first things first, let's say hello to people in the chat.
Yes.
Thomas Santiago, Joe Harvey, 7/8 is here. My friend Jay. The Chad is here. My dad is here. Richard Nesdall. Hey, Dad. Mr. BHB Jr. Kenko Dor is here. Ron Paget is here. Chris Bevan is here. Fruitcake Tony. Wayne Acuri. David Shar. Who else is here so far? Let's see what we got. Joseph D'Angelo. Jeff Cornell. Johnny Bean is here. He says, is
Johnny
that
Bean.
Bruce?
Hey, Johnny Bean.
Love it. So anyway, and I want everyone in the chat to also have this discussion with us. So what is your favorite guitar, your best guitar, and are they the same? What do you think, Ty?
That's a good question. I mean,
Sean Tagle is here, by the way. I want to say hello to Sean. Go ahead. Sorry.
Yes, good question. I mean, guitar players, we don't have any difficulty talking about our favorite or our best. The only problem is which guitar you're going to choose that particular day to identify as your favorite or your best. They seem to constantly be changing as frequently as the weather, right? I mean, we're fickle by nature, depending on how we're going to use these things, right? Depending on well, this is my favorite today, and this might be my favorite next week, or the gig might dictate what your favorite guitar is.
I agree.
True. Very true.
Totally agree. Well, you want to get this started, Ty, and tell us what your favorite is first, and then what your best is, or however you want to do it.
Well, yeah. I mean, I'll show you a guitar. I'll show you a guitar that I'll go ahead for tonight. What's today's date? The 19th. I'll on March 19th. I'll say it's my favorite. It's nothing special or unique, but it is to me. It is to me. This is a Gibson Gold Top Standard. It began its life. It began its life in the late 90s. It's not chambered. It's got a 60 slim taper neck. Always sounded good, played well. And as a rock player, I talked last week about my affinity for single cut guitars. As a rock player, this was always the guitar that I tended to gravitate toward. My heroes played Les Pauls, John Sykes, Gary Moore. Loved the way Slash plays a Les Paul. But this guitar has gone through a lot of changes over the years. The work was done by a really knowledgeable Les Paul expert that owns a company called Abalone Vintage Guitars. His name is Eric. So this guitar has strayed a long way away from where it started. First and foremost is an RS Guitar Works modern vintage wiring harness here.
Okay.
Everything's tone pro'd. So this stop piece locks, this bridge locks. These tuning pegs are tone pros. They lock. There's a new nut here. Pickup wise, these are bare knuckle mules. These are hands down the best sounding pickups I've ever heard in this Les Paul, and Lord knows I've tried a lot of different pickups in this Les Paul. But Eric finished this out for me, gosh, several years ago now, and nothing has changed on the guitar in a long time, other than breaking this this pick guard somewhere over the years. This guitar has seen a lot of work. It's if I'm sitting around the house and I pick up a guitar to play, this is always the one I seem to pick up first. And then any excuse I ever have to take a Les Paul on a gig, this is usually the one that comes out first. And like I said, it just started its life as a regular standard. Any working musician goes into a Les Paul purchase, in a very similar way. They just do what they do, and they really do it well. And for me, this is probably my overall favorite guitar.
Awesome. Now, what would you say is your best guitar?
Oh, you want me to go ahead and get into my best?
Oh, yeah.
It's hard, man. All right, so my best guitar, a player like me. All right, I said last week that it's very rare to take a single guitar to a gig. I mean, you're usually taking a couple of guitars, and they're for very specific purposes. But I'm going to define what my best guitar is as the one that is probably the most versatile, the most functional, the one I can throw into a gig bag, throw on my back, and play the gig. Whether I'm doing a rock gig, a country gig, whatever I'm doing, this guitar will really get it done. Now, this is a unique piece. This is a custom piece. This guitar was made by John Suhr. It is it's a modern, so it's a 24 fret guitar. It was my first adventure into a roasted maple neck. So this guitar was done in 2014. It's a roasted maple. For the Guthrie fans, you'll notice that this is an antique finish, much like the guitar Guthrie played. It's a two-piece basswood body. It's got a two-piece maple cap, very neutral tone-wise. So it gets a lot of things done. It's got a coil tap here in the tone knob that taps away this bridge pickup. So neck pickup. Gets single coily. You can do the Hendrix thing as well as you can do it with a 24 fret guitar. And I know what the arguments are. The position of this neck pickup against 24 frets, perhaps this doesn't quite get as warm. It certainly doesn't get as warm as this one back here. Of course, if the good Lord above played a neck pickup, this is the one he'd play, the one in this Les Paul. Suhr pickups. I think Suhr calls this the SSH. This is a Michael Landau single coil, and then this is the SSV. I believe there's a blower switch here, so that if you are hanging on a tapped neck, and then you want to wail on a solo, you hit that blower switch, you're straight to the bridge, nothing in the middle, and you're gone. Jumbo frets, super easy to play, very comfortable neck. Locking tuners, go to 510 bridge. 4-spring setup, compliments of Mr. Nesdahl. I sent this guitar to Dave quite some time ago, right before I was going out and doing a series of country gigs. And Dave set this up. This guitar came 10 to 46, 25 and a half inch scale. I asked Dave to do a 9 to 42, and this guitar plays perfectly for me. Always stays in tune. Perfect. I mean, what more can you say about a John Suhr built guitar? Love these for sure.
I've owned quite a few of those, actually. Actually, I think I owned one modern, but I had a lot of their, dare I say, Fender style guitars. I think they're called standard or classic. I think they're called. They're called the classics. And they were wonderful guitars, really wonderful.
Well, yep.
How old is that guitar?
14. This was made in 2014.
Yeah, I think I did a review for Music Zoo with that guitar. That's a cool guitar. It really is. That's
Thank you. I love this. I love this guitar. It's light. You can play it all night. So if you're doing a 90-minute set, or if you're doing two 90-minute sets, it's a comfortable guitar. And I mean, you can go from it's so versatile. You can do a lot of things very well on this. If I'm playing a rock gig, I really want that. But because it does what I do. This guitar also gets along with a lot of different types of amplifiers. When I first got this guitar, I plugged it into a Friedman, and it was the best thing I'd ever heard in my life. It was amazing because this wood combination is so balanced that it just works. And I've played this, I've played this with Marshalls, with Fenders, with Boogies. This just gets along with everything.
That's great.
Yeah, great guitar, great working musician guitar right there.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's great.
So Dennis, why don't you give us a little bit of what's your favorite and your best? And then after you, I'll read some more about the chat and see what their favorite and best is if they're giving us that information.
That's cool. Yeah. Well, first I was going to say, Ty, that the blower. I remember the blower switch. Is that what you called it? I really liked it. I remember doing a demo of that guitar and hitting that and going, oh yeah, well this is fun. I did dig it for sure. But all right, so on to my favorite, my best and my favorite. Which one is first?
Whichever one. Just tell us what you want.
Okay, so I guess if I'm going to start with I'll start with my best. I mean, I feel like I need to say that I mean, this is all sort of kind of as Ty said. I mean, it sort of changes day to day in a way, but it's hard to say because they're all good guitars. I mean, Ty's Les Paul and the Store, they're well-made instruments, So I don't know how you balance that out really, but for me, if I'm going to pick I'll start with the best guitar in terms of, like Ty did, in terms of versatility as well as build quality. It would be my PRS. It would be my, this is a private stock DGT. I bought it brand new in June of 2017. I'll cover my face for a second. There we go. So everybody can see that. The color is called Magma. It is one of two guitars that were built together. Paul did a Facebook Live video where he had fans pick out woods and decide what type of guitar was going to be built, and I've got both of them actually because I have a problem. This is but this is a heavily, obviously, private stock grade flame maple, tiger stripe maple. The fingerboard is Macassar ebony, as is the headstock's faceplate and the tuner buttons. The neck, the back of the neck, it's Wenge. The body is black Limba, which is Limba is obviously Carina. So this is black Carina,
it's
black
beautiful.
Limba. Yeah, thanks, man. I love the guitar. It is stock, except for one thing that I just did last week that I've wanted to do, honestly, since soon after I bought the guitar. Let me get that right there. Rob Welch, my new friend that I met through Dave.
Tessie Switch.
The owner of Tessie Switch. I got two of these switches from him, one for each of my each of my DGTs. And I removed the volume knob for the neck pickup because I'm not a two volume knob guy. I was a Strat player forever, Fender player, basically, and one volume knob. You know, when you're going 90 miles an hour, as a friend of mine says, when you're going 90 miles an hour, you're not hearing the subtle shades of, you know, blending pickups. It just doesn't happen when you're playing rock and roll.
That's right.
So, and I just, so I wanted to do it, and I finally got around to it. And thank you, Rob, the Tessie Switch. This is killer. I've got one master volume, master tone, and the coil tap still works. Why do I love this? Do I consider this my best guitar? Well, because of the build quality. PRS honestly is second to none. The consistent quality is incredible. Private stock is obviously, you know, all the hand work and the, you know, and the inlays, yada yada, all that fun stuff. But you know, even a core model, I have an S2 Vela that is just, you know, beautifully made. It's consistent. But this guitar is not only well made, it's versatile, like your Sir is. I can do anything with this with this guitar. I can play any kind of gig. Coil tap, honestly, even in full humbucker mode, because it's got a treble bleed on the volume pot. I can get very convincing telly sounds even in humbucker mode.
Sweet.
It's snappy. The 25-inch scale is that perfect blend between Gibson and Fender scale lengths, and it has been my main guitar for most of the gigs I do. That is cover band gigs with the Mystic here in Long Island, and even with the Lords. I'll bring this guitar most of the time. Most gigs, I can just get away with anything with this. I'll cover all bases. It sounds beautiful. The pickups, DGTs, man. This thing, I love this thing. I don't know what else to say about it. You know, I want to make my own model though. When I run into Paul again, and I know will happen at some point at some show, like he's going to do, he'll appear at some music store up here in New York, and I'll show up and bring him this guitar and say, make this, I want my own model. Whatever. It's cool. I love it. It's a great guitar. And if you want, give me a second. I'll show you the other one. Can I do this?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And while you're doing that, I'll tell people a little bit about you. So Dennis has been one of my best friends for, I don't know, a good 25 years, maybe longer. And I remember watching him in a band called the Blue Scoobies before we were friends, and he was playing in this club in Wanton, Long Island. And he's playing a telly through a Fender Bassman reissue, and right then and there, as I was watching him, I was like, I want his child. No, I thought, I was like, really, I want to play like that guy. I want to be a guitar player like that guy, and I wish I had his voice. I mean, he led his own band, he sang, played lead guitar, and he did both amazingly, and still does. And you know, for this guy, first of all, I could tell you so much about him, but I think the most impressive thing that I know about Dennis is he played with Paul, that little guy, Paul McCartney, from that band on the other side of the world. You know, Paul McCartney, that little band, the Beatles.
Across the band.
Yeah, he played. I saw her standing there the last time Shea Stadium was open.
Wow.
Now, that is pretty damn cool. Yeah,
wow.
That's pretty damn cool. Standing right next to Paul McCartney, playing with Billy Joel in Billy Joel's band. And those of you who don't know Billy Joel, probably one of the best contemporary musicians, songwriters of the 20th century, I would say.
An icon.
Yeah, he's a
living legend. Yeah.
And there's Dennis playing at Shea Stadium as they're closing down Shea Stadium. She was just 17, right next to the guy who wrote the song.
Yeah.
How cool is that?
It was surreal.
Playing a pink guitar.
Yeah, my shell pink Strat.
Right. Nice.
Yeah, and you gotta be a good guitar player and a man to be playing a pink guitar. So yes, he is a super talented guy. He's now playing with his cover band called The Mystic, who he's been playing. How long have you been playing with them? 12, 13 years, 14 years now?
13 years.
13 years. Well, yeah, they're
a little bit 13 years.
They're New York's one of New York's best cover bands, I would say. Their following is ridiculous. How big their following is. He plays with the original members of the Billy Joel band. You listen to the first 3 or 4 records, and all those guys. The name of the band is the Lords of 52nd Street, and check them out. Check them out. You gotta. If those of you who don't know my buddy Dennis here, please YouTube him. He's also got his own band called DelGaudio, which is a kind of a mixture of rock and country and blues and pretty much everything rolled into one. It's pretty much originals. His songs are great. And I'm not just saying this because we're buddies. I'm saying this because if you listen to his songs, they're really radio worthy. They're amazing. Too bad radio is no longer radio. But if it was, and if there were such things as record companies and all that, he'd be a made guy. So that being said, fuck you. No, that being said, please take us into your favorite guitar now.
All right, so what are we going to say, Todd?
Well, CU Space Wrangler in the chat says, I agree on the DGT mix of frets, neck shape, trim, pickups, perfect Swiss Army guitar. I know who this guy is, and he's a working musician, and he really knows gear. And if I'm not mistaken, he's got some DGTs or played some DGTs. I know he's playing Nags guitars now, but he agrees, perfect Swiss Army knife guitar.
Yeah, it really is. Dave, thank you for all the kind words, bud. I really appreciate it.
You know what? If you sucked, I would say you suck. So I'm just telling the truth. Just telling the truth.
Yes. God
By the way, he's also my best man at my future wedding, at my upcoming wedding. So you better do something good for it.
No pressure. No pressure at all. So let me show you the other DGT. This one I named after my dad. This is Del. I don't name guitars. It's not my thing to name, probably because I don't usually have them long enough. But I never really felt like to call a guitar she or I never got that. But these two are the exceptions. So this one's named after my dad. This is the exact same guitar, all the same woods. The only difference is the top color is blue steel, and it's a quilted top as opposed to a flame top. And same thing. Whoa, this is weird. Rob, Tessie switch. There it is. I got rid of that second volume knob. Yeah, they're both beautiful guitars, and they sound really close to one another. They do sound a little different. This one's ever so slightly heavier, few ounces. But they are both, they're virtually indistinguishable. And the neck, believe it or not, they're both DGT neck shapes, obviously, but this one, Del, feels a little slightly fuller, I'd say. Maybe that's just that, the private stock hand
done
sanding thing. I don't know, but they would be considered my best. I mean, they're faves. All these guitars are faves. So
sure.
All the guitars I own are faves, but and are all best in a way, in their own way. They're all well-built instruments, but these guitars are just exceptional across the board. And I tip my hat to Paul Reed Smith. He is, in the pantheon of guitar builders and guitar companies. He's there with Fender and Gibson and Rick and Gretsch and whatnot. For sure. Well, let me put this down. Give me a second here.
Cool.
So
that's a beauty. That's a beauty.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, guys.
They both are.
Yeah, I actually I bought both guitars at Wilcut in Lexington, Kentucky, Wilcut Guitars.
Mm-hmm.
And I bought Ruthie online. I'd never purchased a guitar without playing it. I just figured it's got to be good, and I did that. And then Ruthie was great, and I decided, okay, well, let me go. At the time it was, to fly from New York to Cincinnati was maybe $100, and rent a car, drive an hour down to Lexington, hung out overnight, and flew home the next day. And I I talked to Zach, great guy there at Wilcutt, and he laid out a bunch of guitars for me, and I ended up picking Del, and they shipped it to me. That was a lot of fun. I drank bourbon that night and had shrimp and grits.
Yeah,
it was fun.
Sure.
I got on a plane with nothing. I had a bag on my back. That was it. I had never done that before. It felt weird. It felt liberating. So that's that. So that would be considered, I guess you'd say, my best guitar. My favorite quotes is in March of 2018, I bought used a Rickenbacker 325 C58. And what it is, for those who don't know, is an exact recreation of John Lennon's first American guitar, his first legit electric guitar. He bought in, I believe, late 60. So I want to say September. It's a 1958 model 325 Capri. So this guitar recreates it, and let me show it to you. I know I can take the strap off. Look, there's the. Here she is.
Wow.
There's the body. There you go. And there's, yeah, it's a fantastic instrument. It is my favorite. I'm a Beatle freak. I am an absolute Beatle freak. One of my favorite Beatle records was live at the Star Club in Hamburg, Germany, December of '62. It was their last stint at the Star Club before they really took off. They were contracted to do a certain number of shows. And I nearly wore that double album out, and was always fascinated with this guitar. I was fascinated with them, period. Everything they did and played and the songs they wrote, everything. But, as much as I'm a lead guitar player, I was always drawn to John Lennon's rhythm playing and his approach and the sound of this instrument. And it's clearly on display on that double album. But honestly, if you were to remove Lennon's rhythm tracks from any Beatles song, there would be a big hole. People think of them as writers, and they were so brilliant at that. But as a band, they were just killer. And Lennon was a great rhythm player. And this guitar was such a big part of that sound. It's not even 3/4 scale. I want to say it's like, some people say it's 4/5 scale. I don't exactly know. If a modern Gibson is 24 3/4,
Yep.
This guitar is 20 3/4.
Okay.
It's a short on.
Yep.
It's a little guitar that lends to the sound. It's hollow.
Oh.
It is mostly hollow in there. In '58, they only made about 28 of these, and a good number of them had an F hole up here. A few were solid. Lennon's serial number V81 was among them, and you could do research online and whatnot. But believe it or not, in my own band, this is the guitar I use. That blend of like classic country and some rock and roll and a few other things. But this is my main guitar. It didn't start off that way, but I would slowly bring it in, and the two guys, the bass player and drummer in my band, it's a trio, said, that's the guitar. Hang on a second, guys. I gotta make a switch here. I gotta take these out.
When did you get that guitar, Dennis?
I got it in March of 2018. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, I can turn it up a little louder.
Hang on. Can you hear me now?
Oh yeah, perfectly.
Perfectly. Okay. My earbuds went dead. I got this guitar in March of 2018. It's a 2002. Rickenbacker reissued this guitar from 2002 through 2009. You can't get them anymore. You've got to find them used. They still make the C64, which is their first Ed Sullivan appearance. Lennon was playing this guitar. He had it painted black at some point in '63. And to spruce it up, because it was beaten to death,
But that first Ed Sullivan appearance up here in New York, he's playing this guitar. You can tell because of the gold guard. And then 2 weeks later, when they were playing in Miami, they did the Sullivan show in Miami. Rick sent him the black guitar with the white guard and the 5 knobs and whatnot. And I think maybe that's what people are more associate with John. But really, it was this guitar that was his first really good electric guitar. And it was this color. And the body is all alder. You think it's maple. It's not. It's alder. The body and neck are alder. The fingerboard is rosewood. What else can I say about it? I've modified it a lot. I mean, Lennon put the Bigsby on him. So of course, whoever had the guitar before me did this Lennon mod. And then I geeked out. There's a guy in Australia who repros these knobs, because these knobs were radio knobs that Lennon put on the guitar, probably from Curry Electronics, I think it was called, right next to or near to the to Hesse's, the music shop in Liverpool. So some guy was reproing them over in Australia, and I was like, all right, I'm full on geek. Send them my way. So I bought them. I have modded this guitar. The wiring harness, I took out the original wiring harness. I have it saved in the case. I wired the guitar up like a Gibson, 50s era wiring.
Nice.
And though the volume controls are not sitting here, they're sitting like where Rick normally sits.
Yeah.
Bridge volume, neck tone, bridge tone. Okay. All the electronics are new. Callahan main string shaft and front roller. So this is a string through. I disabled the Bigsby. I took the spring out. I took the arm off because you're not playing with a Bigsby on this guitar. It has enough. It's challenged. It's tuning challenged.
Right.
So you want to shore it up as much as you can. I just recently, as in this week, got this Winfield vintage Rick bridge. They repro Rick bridges, and this is the bridge that came with the guitar. Is got 6 saddles with brass rollers, and I just wanted some more, just a little bit more metal. So I wanted solid saddles. They're solid aluminum saddles, like most Ricks that we know have. Great build. The pickups are all they're stock. Short pole, flat back, toaster pickups. They're single coil. They look like humbuckers. They're single coil. Flat back, meaning that most Rick pickups, you see the poles sticking out the bottom, and they cut a route out for those poles. This guitar and early Rickenbackers, they didn't have that. They were short pole. The backs were flat. So if you take these pickups off, you only see a little hole one tiny hole for the wire to go in. It's essentially there's no route at all for these pickups. They're very microphonic. That's part of their charm. That's part of why they sound the way they sound. It was a little bit rough playing with any kind of gain, particularly throwing a fuzz, because believe it or not, I use a fuzz definitely a fair amount with this guitar, and it sounds awesome.
Sure.
Am I babbling? I can just babble away.
No, you're not babbling at all. No, this is good. People want to know about this stuff. Tell us about the strings.
All right, I'll get there. So what I did to cut down on the microphonics, I talked to Lindy Fralin, and he said, yeah, you can send them to me. I could. But honestly, microphonics most of the time are caused by metal on metal. You're getting vibration of metal on metal. So check. And I looked, and sure enough, the bottom plate was touching the poles. So I went over to our buddy Jack Kamalowicz, Rock and Roll Amps, and he took some electrical tape. We took the pickups apart and put electrical tape on the inside of the bottom plate. Seriously, cut the microphonics back. And I didn't want to wax pot. Not interested, because I wanted to keep the guitar acoustically live. You can talk into this. It's like a microphone. So I did that to all 3 pickups. I suppose I didn't have to do it to this one, because this one's not even connected. Lennon disconnected the middle pickup on his guitar, probably because he was hitting it with his pick, and because they're so microphonic, you could really hear it coming through the amp. I left it that way because the wiring scheme on a standard 325 is the down position is the bridge pickup, up is all three, neck, middle is all three, up is the neck and the middle pickup together. I didn't want that, so it was fortuitous in my geekdom that Lennon disconnected this. So I was like, it's gone. So if I ever break one of these pickups, I can just slide this one over, and while the other one's getting rewound, and I'm good to go.
That's cool.
And also I changed the tuners. These are Waverleys. The tuners that Rick made, they're repros of the original ones. They're cool. The gear ratio, they're a little loose. So I put Waverleys on. They look nearly the same and help the guitar out seriously. So those are all the mods I've done on the guitar. The strings, Dave.
Yeah.
This guitar only sounds good to my ears with flat wounds. I put a set of round wounds on, and then they were off in 2 seconds. I hit 2 chords, and I was like, this is horrible. They're gone. So the early Beatles, they played flats. I played with a guy named Billy J. Kramer, one of the original British Invasion guys. And he confirmed that. He's like, yeah, we played most of the time. You saw he might have called them ribbon wound. I think he said ribbon wound. And the gauges are 13. You got it because the scale is so short. You got to keep heavy strings on. So it's 13, 17, 24 wound. The 32, 42, 56. It's kind of pretty balanced tension wise.
Wow.
And I'm a dork that way too. And I had a lot of free time and just mess with string gauges. DelGaudio chromes. That's really it. The guitar is awesome, man. You would think that it's very limited in its range. It's not. If you're looking for a Les Paul, ain't gonna do it. It doesn't sing the way a Les Paul does or a Strat or any. It has its own voice, and I've done enough gigs with my band with this guitar and every time people have come up to me and said, that's a cool guitar. I played this guitar with Billy J. Kramer. Constantly, cool guitar. And with my band, since I do country and, they say, you'd expect a Telly, but
right.
That you're playing that guitar, it's awesome, and I can't, I love the thing. I've written a few songs on it already. It's inspiring to play. I've got a picture of Lennon looking at me above my computer. It is, it's one of my heroes' guitars, and I've got one, and I've always wanted one. You think also the nut width is like standard Fender. It's 1 5/8. Yeah. The string spacing is like playing a Fender. The neck might feel a little smallish, certainly in terms of its length.
Look how big his hands are.
Yeah.
Look at how big your hands are on that neck. It's just insane.
I know. It's
what up, Fred Flintstone?
I love it, man. It sounds great. Most of the time I'm on the bridge pickup. It's killer. It's killer. You can play lead guitar and it's great. It's just awesome. I can't say enough great things about it. So
that's cool.
Awesome. So those are Dennis's best and favorite. I'm gonna go into the chat and read some of these. Hang on one second. So Joseph D'Angelo says his favorite is a Hamer Phantom, which I know what those look like. Johnny Bean, I think, has 3 of those. And his best is a Hamer Scarab, and I honestly don't know what that. I've never seen one. At least I don't think I have.
Cool.
Yeah, those are cool. The fact that they're Hamers. Metal Mike 5150 says the 5150 and EVH Music Man are his favorite. So which one is your best? The Chad says his best as far as craftsmanship and playability and overall beauty is probably my recent PRS purchases, which he has 2 thanks to me. Thank you very much for that.
Nice.
And they're both incredible. And I'll tell you a little bit about them. One of them is an employee guitar, which is like a dark green. It's pretty much a private stock guitar. It's made for an employee. And both of them are Floyd Rose 24 fret guitars. It's a gorgeous guitar, has metal pickups in it, and I believe an ebony fretboard. It's a gorgeous guitar. And the other one is an exact guitar like this, but in pink, Bonnie pink. It's called.
Bonnie pink.
Wow.
Cool color.
Oh my God! I almost bought that guitar, and I showed it to him, and he was like, "Well, no, I'm taking it." Click, and he bought it. Pretty much like that. It pretty much happened just like that. Because I was like, "Yeah, I'm going to buy this one. It's going to be no, like that."
Hey, Dave.
Huh?
Can you give me 2 seconds?
I certainly can.
I'm going to disappear for a moment. All right. I'm just going to.
Okay, sure.
mute this. Hang on.
Yeah. So we'll wait for. Well,
And-
you know what? Actually, we don't have to wait for Dennis. I'll keep reading. And
Dave.
yeah.
Michael Collins says that his best is a PV HP2.
Mm-hmm.
And his favorite is Made in Japan San Dimas.
Oh, no kidding. That's awesome.
Those San Dimas guitars are great guitars.
Yeah, they are. They really are. So the Chad says his favorite is his 5150 because it was the guitar that really got him into playing guitar. Watching Ed live without a net changed his life forever. And you know what? It's done that. I think that's done that for all of us. I think that video, because it was probably the first concert you can get on VHS or whatever, whatever you were watching it on at the time. Before that, you never really, if you've never seen Van Halen live, you probably haven't seen them in a live situation, other than the 3 videos on MTV that you would see, of them in Oakland. That was really the first look that you'd get. So yeah, I can understand that. That's one of the first times that I saw the 5150 guitar. The first time I saw it was the Panama video in 1984. And I've said this before. I was like, oh my God, that headstock. Oh my God, the striping scheme is different. It's not the Frankenstein. This is a different guitar. I love it. I got to have one. Now I do. But yeah, I can understand how that would be his favorite guitar. Let's see if I have anyone else. I just want to say hello to Rob Cunningham as well from Didario Strings. How you doing, Rob? Good friend of mine.
Hey, Rob. Love the chromes, Rob.
Oh yeah. It looks like anyone else. Tell us about your night. Here, Jeff. We spoke about your stuff.
Fender
Chris
Guru.
Chris
Guru.
Bevins. Go ahead. You do it first.
Fender Guru has a fave in his Epiphone Casino. Those are fantastic guitars.
Cool.
And an
very cool.
89 Clapton Strat.
What
Very
color?
cool.
Very nice.
I always like the green one.
Me too. That's
Yeah, I owned one of those.
Green or
Yeah,
Is
I
that
think
what
I owned one in every color. And then then you listen to them against a real Strat, like with regular pickups, and you're like, nah, this is not a Strat. So you get rid of it. Or I did. So Chris Bevins said, Dave, I bought a slick SL54 last year on a video from McKnight. Had it set up pro style. My favorite playing feeling fiddle ever. 37 years of playing. Love it. Alnico 5, 1 knob. Very cool. So that kind of brings me to my guitars. And before I tell you about my guitars, I want to say that this is not an endorsement video for Paul Reed Smith. None of us get these guitars for free. They just happen to, this particular guitar, even though it's one of my newest guitars, this happens to be my best guitar. And the reason for it is, again, like Ty and Dennis said, you could take this guitar to any one gig and use it all night, and it does everything. The 2 and 4 positions on the notch on the 5-way blade really are convincing Strat sounds. The humbuckers, as a humbucker guitar, it sounds very similar to a Les Paul, maybe a slightly thinner, but it's very Les Paul like. I've been a Floyd Rose guy all my life. There have been times in my life where I haven't. I was just kidding myself. I'm always going to be a Floyd Rose guy. I love Floyd Roses. I don't care what the purists say. I don't care what Dennis says. I'm a Floyd Rose guy, and I buy Floyd Rose guitars because I use them.
Say nothing.
Yeah, I use them. The neck on this guitar, where I differ from Dennis, is I do like an unfinished neck, especially if you're playing outdoors in the summertime. An unfinished neck is the best. You just don't get stuck playing it. You don't get stuck anywhere. It's very, very easy to play. This particular neck feels like one of my favorite necks in the Music Man Eddie Van Halen neck. It's slightly wider, but it feels very similar. It's got that asymmetrical feel in the back.
Is it a wide thin?
It's a wide. They consider it a wide thin, but it's not very thin. It feels very similar to your necks. Yours might be a little fatter. I would say this is like a 59 Les Paul.
No, I can't remember. Because what year is that guitar?
This is a 17.
Yeah, so they're wide, fat, wide, thin. They don't call it that anymore. They call it like, I forgot what they call it.
I think it's pattern. I think this is pattern vintage.
No, pattern vintage is just 594s. It's probably and it's very kind of rounded feeling.
Yes.
It's probably pattern regular.
Okay, pattern regular. All right. So
I think that's what custom 24s are usually.
It feels really comfortable. Normally, I don't like 24 fret guitars normally because of where the pickups end up. On this guitar, I don't feel the difference. I really don't feel the difference, and it's so comfortable. And being that it's 24 frets, I overlook that because everything else on the guitar is absolutely fantastic.
What kind of pickups are in that guitar, Dave?
These are artist pickups.
Okay, nice.
Oh, they're artist pickups. They're not.
Yeah, these are artists. These are not the M's.
Oh,
they're
not HFS and vintage bass.
No, they're artists. The guy who
cool.
owned this guitar before me put artist pickups in it.
That's great.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. This guitar sounds just wonderful. Again, this is probably my best guitar, and again, like everyone else here has said, we all have best. All these guitars are best guitars. Every one of them.
Yeah.
For one reason or another, they're all best guitars. But literally, I've owned this the least amount of time, and I feel like I've been playing this guitar the most amount of time.
Yeah.
Now, for my favorite guitar, it's also a recent purchase. It's my ESP, a 1983 ESP M1. This guitar is 100% original as well. This feels like I've been playing it. It's been played since, it's one of those guitars that whoever has owned this guitar has just played it and played it and played it. It is so broken in. I'm a humbucker guy as well. I'm not really a single coil guy. I'm a Floyd guy, like I said before. I've always wanted a two humbucker early Charvel style guitar, which this is. This is actually not a Japanese guitar. This is a 48th Street custom ESP. And as those of you who may or may not know, 48th Street Custom in Manhattan, when it was there, it was USA Custom ESP is what it was.
Oh,
so
really?
any guitar you got out of there was like having a USA Custom ESP built.
Cool.
As you can tell, the neck is not a roasted maple neck. It has just been played forever,
Yeah.
so it's that dark.
It's a played maple neck.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right.
I just had it refretted by our friend Larry Fitzgerald over at Sam Ash. Now, I consider myself a very good repair guy. I can do setups. I can do all that stuff. But as I've said before, when a doctor gets sick, he has to go to the doctor. Well, when my guitars get sick, I take my guitars to him when it needs major work, like fret jobs, like full fret jobs, and stuff of that nature, or stuff that I can't figure out. I take it to him, and he is absolutely the best. I've said it before. I say it again, and it's nice to be able to make one phone call and say, "Hey, can I stop up real quick?" When the guy has 50 guitars on his bench, and then he says, "Yeah, I got a minute for you, yeah," and then he does, 2 hours worth of work for you. That's pretty incredible for a guy like that.
Yeah.
So that guitar is my favorite guitar because it's it's one I've always wanted to have. It's like most of these guitars, they're guitars of my childhood. I'm a product of the '80s, so I like all these '80s striped guitars and Floyd Rose guitars and stuff with graphics on it, like this one here, which I owned when I was 16 years old. My mom bought this guitar for me. I think I spoke about this before, not on this channel, but on the Johnny Bean channel, which, by the way, thanks for showing up and hanging out with us, Johnny. I appreciate that. So I've owned this when I was 16. My mom would drop me off to Sam Ash in Hempstead, New York, Long Island. Dennis would know where that is.
Oh, yeah.
And I'd sit in the corner, play guitars quietly, very quietly. And they'd have a big rack of, like a 20 space rack filled with stuff. And in 1986, everyone was playing through rack gear. So, I was a good kid. I never bothered anyone. I never really played loudly or was caused the ruckus. So they'd say, they'd let me play what I wanted. And I'd sit there and wait while my mom shopped at A&S across the street.
A&S.
Yeah, remember that? A&S?
Yeah, yeah.
Those of you who don't know what that is, it's Abraham and Strauss. So one day I go in there and I look at the very top. They had this top layer of guitars where no one was allowed to touch them, and this guitar was sitting up there, one of them. And I was like, oh, and it was the first time I'd ever seen a guitar with graphics on it. I'd never seen one before. 16, and I was a Kramer guy. I loved Kramers because of Eddie Van Halen, of course. So. And I associated this guitar with Eddie Van Halen because of the hockey stick headstock, the pointy headstock.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, "Oh my god, can I play that?" And they were like, "No, you can't. I'm sorry, we can't let you play that. It just, God forbid, it gets a ding in it. It's just we want to be able to have someone buy this with no scratches or dings or anything." And I understood. So my mom picks me up at, hours later, and I was like, Mom, maybe next week, can you come in with me? There's this guitar there. I'd love you to see. It's absolutely beautiful. I would love to, maybe work my way to get it. Is there any way we could blah, 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 and blah, blah, blah. So next week comes, we go to the store, and she's like, all right, I'll take a look at it. And lo and behold, she's like, yeah, you got to own that guitar. So right then and there, she bought it for me. And I did one of my first gigs on this guitar. I was a little chubby kid. It was a battle of the bands at the local. I believe it was at. It was in Jericho at the Jericho High School or something like that.
Okay.
Jericho, Long Island, and it was a band that I had just put together like 2 weeks before this thing. I was like, yeah, we could do it. And we learned like 3 songs, and I played this guitar at that thing. We lost the battle of the bands, but I played Eruption, or my version of Eruption, because at 16, who could play Eruption? At that age, back then. Now a 9-year-old can play Eruption, but back then, I was doing my best. So anyway, I had this guitar, and it was my main guitar for many years. And then in my 20s, I did a dumb thing and I sold it. And just about a month ago, my friend Chad, who's in the audience here, bought one of these, and I was like, "Oh my god, I can't believe you bought one! I want one of these." I had one, and he knew I had one. In the past, because I told him the story. He's like, "Yeah, I bought one," and and he showed it to me. I was like, "Hell, man, I wish I would have seen it before you. I would have bought it right up." So a week later, he calls me and said, "Guess what I found?" And I was like, "I don't know. I wasn't even thinking about the guitar." He's like, "Yeah, there's another one for sale. I'm going to give you the guy's number. I already spoke to him. He knows you're interested. Give him a call." So, of course, I called the guy, and I bought the guitar, not knowing that it was the one that I owned.
Yeah.
And I just thought it was like, oh, another Dennis Klein, just another one. So I get it took a little while for me to get the guitar because of, whatever. We both kept missing each other, whatever, and having issues with PayPal. But I finally get the guitar home, open the case, and in the pocket was one of my old guitar picks with my name.
Wow.
That's cool. That's a great story.
Yeah. So my old guitar, and
That's
this
awesome.
very much could have also been my favorite guitar. But you can't have, this is just one of them. Maybe in another podcast, this will be my favorite guitar. But I just wanted to tell that story and that how much that guitar means to me.
That's awesome.
And I want to thank my mom for buying that guitar for me when I was 16.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So let's see.
Hey, Dave.
Yes.
Since we're having a PRS party, can I show one more?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And while you're doing that, I want to say Guitar Samurai 1 says, Dave Nesdal, have you changed anything on the guitar, FU, tone, or anything? Which guitar are you talking about? And actually, I've not changed anything on that Beretta or on the ESP. On this guitar, what I did change was I did put the FU tone titanium saddles and the titanium string locks as well, and the intonation screws. That's all titanium. But I did not put a brass block on this guitar. I think that sometimes a brass block could be too much. Now, Adam, if you're listening to me, forgive me for saying that. And I believe in the brass block on, I would say, 95% of instruments. But on this particular guitar, I don't think it needs it. Now, down the road, I may want to try it out, and I may be wrong. But as of right now, I just don't think. I think it's got everything that it needs. Other than that, you want to buy all the upgrades for Floyd's. Like I said, 95% of the time, I absolutely approve and believe in it. So there you go. Okay, Ty, show us another guitar.
All right. Just because we're having a PRS moment, I've got a handful of PRSs. This one is probably my favorite that I have. Just from a performance standpoint, it plays absolutely fantastic, and it sounds great, looks great on stage. This is a charcoal burst with a really cool chevron top.
Cool.
Single cut. No mods to this, so the way in which Paul designed it. This has a ceramic bridge pickup, which I've never been a fan of pickups that are that hot, but this sounds fantastic, and it cleans up exceptionally well. This neck pickup is very similar to what they used to put in their early single cuts. They call them number 7s. This is extremely warm. I can't tell you what kind of magnet is in this pickup. Metal Mike, this is a Tremonti, yes. But an extremely warm neck pickup. So when you're here and you're above the 12th fret and you feel like doing the widdly kind of thing, it does that very, very well. Great guitar. Wide, thin neck profile. Frets are not very big on this guitar, but this guitar plays exceptionally fast. Absolutely fantastic. You'll see that the body's slightly thicker. Absolutely fantastic guitar, and there is a brass block in the back of this. Great trim on this guitar. Stays in tune very, very well. This guitar shipped 10 to 46, set up 9 to 42. I mostly play this guitar in standard tuning, but there's one of my PRSs there. Love this top.
It's beautiful.
Great top.
Yeah, it's beautiful, man.
That's awesome. Yeah. I never was a fan of Paul Reed Smith guitars. They for some reason, one reason or another, I couldn't bond with them. And then when Dennis bought his first Ruthie, his first private stock, I then understood what a really great guitar is. Like one of these guitars, if you can get your hands on one just to even try out, please do. Now, all that being said, Ty and I both have a couple of Nags guitars that are on their way. They're both coming. And I've played Ty's played some Nags guitars. He's owned one or two, and I've played several. And they are absolutely incredible guitars. Dennis has played one. Actually, I have a little video of Dennis playing one.
Oh yeah, that's right.
I might actually show. I actually sent that to Larry again today. He was like, "When did he do that?" It's like, "That's amazing. That sounds amazing." When I'm thinking to myself, I had to have sent that to him. I'm sure I did, but yeah, he was like, "That's amazing. That sounds amazing." So yeah. So Dennis, do you mind if I show that video?
No, go ahead. Sure. I mean, that was what was that was a Nags. That was a
That was a Chenna. That was a Nags Chenna. And those of you who want to hear Dennis play a little bit, hang on one second. Let me get this up here.
I get rid of this. I want to go full screen on my phone, and I can't figure out how the hell to do it. There's got to be some way to do it. Whatever.
Okay, so this is, hang on one second, please. All right. I'm going to put this on full screen, and forgive me for showing this on my phone, but that's the only way I know how to do it at the moment.
All right, bud. Larry, this one's for you. This is your Chenna into tube amp, thumb pick, guitar cable, a little fingerstyle country thing, Merle Travis. Here we go.
Very nice.
Yeah. Oh.
Trails.
That's awesome.
Very nice. Little Western swing.
That's Dennis DelGaudio.
A little Merle Travis. A little Merle Travis right there.
Yeah.
I love this fidelity. Its sound quality is incredible.
Yeah. It wasn't that bad, right?
No.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, I have it right in front of my microphone here.
Oh, good.
But all right, let's see. Blah 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 blah.
Oh.
And there he goes. Oh.
Up on here.
Okay. All right, so I'm just trying to see if anyone has anything else to say in the chat about what their favorite and best guitars are before we get into our next subject.
Hey, by the way, Ty, here's the Bella.
Oh man, I love the Vela. I know that there's a viewer in the chat right now that plays a Vela too. What an amazing guitar! Great guitar, very versatile guitar.
Totally, such a killer guitar, man. I got mine for $1,100, and it's the guitar I usually take on fly dates. Even though you can bring the guitar on the plane, I get it on the plane. It's just, I don't have to worry about it so much.
Yep.
I love it. I mean, I think it's awesome.
Yeah, CU
USA
Space Wrangler saying he's got a gold Vela in the house. They're great, great guitars.
Really cool. Of course, I had to mess with mine. I modded mine. I changed the pickups, I just changed because the guitar is USA made, but the electronics are all Korean, right? And initially the pickups were cool. I was digging them, but then after a while I was like, meh. So I threw out all the electronics, and I got a set of Lindy Freyland's big singles.
Sweet.
And all American, pots and the switch and the guitars, unbelievable. And I kept the push pull thing, but now since the big singles are, they're hum canceling single coils, right?
Right.
So I use the push pull as a face. So now when both pickups are on, I get that honky.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, it's really cool. I dig it.
Very cool. So my friend Garbage says, Dave, hi Dave, congrats on the show. Anthony Sejazi, who's another great friend of mine I've known for she's close to 30 years. Dennis is an awesome musician, he says.
Oh, thanks, Anthony.
Tube Supio says, killing it. Sean Zimmerman says, awesome to have Dennis on.
Thank you, Sean.
Yeah, very cool. Let's see. All right. So a lot of people are talking about the coronavirus. So that's our next subject. We're going to talk about the coronavirus, but not like everyone else is. What we're going to discuss is how the coronavirus has screwed with us musicians as far as gigs and all the money we've lost, and talk about things that we can do to subsidize that loss by doing other things with the guitar and other things musically. And Dennis just recently told me that he's lost a lot of money and a lot of gigs this past week for the whole month so far. And I think that I'd like to talk about that and see if let everyone know if they're in the same boat, what they can do to subsidize a little bit. So Dennis, go ahead.
Well, I mean, it's just been in the past week, really, like you said, the rest of the gigs that I had this month, like, for example, I had 3 this weekend. I had 2 next weekend, 2 or 3 next weekend. They're gone, just gone, including a wedding on Sunday. It's understandable. Bars, restaurants closed down, New York State's no more than 500 people. I think it's maybe lower than that now can assemble. So, how it's, how it's affected me. I mean, Jesus, it's like money's gone. It's just not there. And I even had a gig every year. The past 3 years, I've done a gig. It's called American Young Voices. It's a tour. It's a week-long tour. You could check out the website. It's AmericanYoungVoices.com. It basically brings around children's choirs. They go into a region, for example. It's an arena tour. So when we play up here in New York, we play at the Prudential Center in Newark, New Jersey, and schools are sent out packets, elementary schools, middle schools, and they invite, the schools sign up and come down. It's basically assembling the largest choir in the world, and I play guitar in the band that supports this choir. When we play, for example, the Prudential Center is the biggest show, and you can figure that's an arena that holds, I want to say 18,000 or so. I mean, it's a big arena. Maybe it's 20. I don't know. I think it might be slightly less than the Garden, but it's a big venue. And you figure we play at one end, and all the students are behind us from the floor up to the ceiling. This huge choir is behind us, and then the rest of parents and friends and relatives or whatever, they all fill out the rest of the arena. That gig, happens the first week of June, has for the past 3 years, and it just got canceled. And that's, a little less than 2.5 months away. Schools have to, I don't know. Maybe parents are nervous, schools are nervous. It's all understandable, but it's gone. That was a nice little chunk of change. I don't know what's going to happen. The next 2 weeks are definitely out for me. I will see what happens in April. The first weekend of April's gone. So those gigs got canned. Those were Lords of 52nd Street gigs, and both of them got rescheduled. They didn't get canceled, got rescheduled to the summer. And in terms of what can you do to, that's how it's impacted me. I mean, it's the same story with anybody else who's a working musician. You shut down bars and restaurants and wedding gigs or whatever. People just, that's it. You're going to lose the money. It's gone. How do you supplement that? I teach. I don't teach many students. I have about 4 right now. Only because I think that's about all I can handle. And they're great. They're good guys. They're all my age or a little older than me. And that's been my only saving grace, really. I have money tucked away to help me. That'll help me get through this. And thankfully, I've got a girlfriend who's a teacher, a public school teacher, and she said she'll help me out however possible. And but other ways to supplement income. I mean, if you can teach, if you can pick up more students, definitely the one-on-one thing is fine. Even if you got to step into the house and wash your hands and whatever else you got to do, it's just, I don't know of any other ways. I mean, you can do these. A lot of musicians are doing these, Facebook Live concerts or YouTube, kind of like this sort of a thing, I guess. I've thought about doing that. I've actually thought about doing that and starting a channel or starting a show involving my little Rickenbacker and showing, putting it through its paces and showing what it can do. So maybe singing a few tunes with it or whatever. So that's something I'm considering. But then, of course, that's a whole, you can't really generate money with that. You just, entertaining people and maybe entertaining myself, really. Because that's why we're really in it, isn't it? It's not about them. It's about us.
Well,
I want to make me happy. And then if I'm happy, you're going to be happy.
I got to tell you that there is a way to make money at that. And that's what I wanted to talk about. The way to do that is you set up a virtual PayPal. And I've seen 2 different people in 2 days do this. You set up, you do your video, you set up, your PayPal, you put down, you put up your PayPal address, and you talk a little bit about stuff. You play your instrument, you play songs, you play a concert, and people, if they're willing to and they like you enough, they send money to your PayPal, and that's how you make some money.
It's like a virtual tip jar. Basically.
It's exactly what it is, a virtual tip jar. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. That's cool. Yeah.
And I was thinking about actually doing that, starting this week as well. It's a good thing. And you don't have to put any money in, but you can if you want to. Right. And that's a good way to 1, get your name out there, 2, make a little money, and 3, entertain some people. Yeah. So that was what I was going to talk about is the virtual tip jar. That's cool.
That's a cool idea.
Yeah. Ty, you have anything to say about that? Any other suggestions?
It's amazing how the precautionary measures around coronavirus has really crippled an entire industry. I mean, every live performer, regardless of the size of the stage, regardless how big the gig is, has been impacted from the lack of being able to work. And it literally happened so quickly that I think it was difficult for a lot of working musicians to pivot as quick as some of those decisions were made and needed to be made. But unfortunately, it brought an entire industry to a screeching halt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, not to mention, world economies, getting into all that, but it's talking to my friends, talking to my girlfriend, it's like who would think that we would live through this time? You know, of what? This is like a weird. This is Hollywood movie stuff. This is like Outbreak. You know, this is it's an odd time, but I'm taking this time also since I have a bit of a cushion, to dig into some other things. You know, I've got the next 2 weeks free and clear, apart from a few students. I rebuilt my pedal board. I'm going to practice. I've got song ideas I want to work on, and I want to write. I've got the time. Just, you know, as a good friend of ours, Dave, our friend Ken Ryman said, you know, get to work. Get to work.
Yeah.
There's stuff, you know, I'm not going to make money from it, but, you know, work begets work. We'll get through this. We'll get out of this, you know, maybe even sooner than we think. We'll see.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Dan, you want to show us some more of your instruments and talk about your new pedal board, maybe?
Oh, sure, man. Sure. Come with me. Let me take
Dennis has got some great stuff.
Stroll. I'm gonna flip the camera, okay?
Yep.
Hang on. I wish I could go figure out how to go full screen. Okay. So there's the rack. There's one of my rock and roll amps right there. That's a 212 Reverb Deluxe. That is the chassis is the first Reverb Deluxe that Jack made. Love that guitar. I love that amp. Love it. Just trying some different Celestion speakers in there right now with it. But anyway, so there's Ruthie and Dell. Their places up front. The Vela, which I just briefly showed. I'll stick that back in the rack. There's the Vela. This guitar is I just got this maybe a month ago or so. This is a 50th anniversary Strat, master built Dennis DelGaudio. Yeah, Dennis DelGaudio. In 2004, all the master builders were commissioned to build. I don't know how many each of them built. It is an exact recreation of a 54 Strat. Great figuring on the back, particularly the neck carve. The plastics are all, you know, the formula for the plastics have all been recreated. Mm-hmm. Short skirt knobs, that football switch tip.
Yeah.
The pickup covers you notice are kind of rounded. If you can see that. The Alnico 3 magnets, they are slightly bigger. In 54, they were 0.2 inches in diameter. I guess it's 0.2 inches as opposed to what they are now, 0.187. Whoops, sorry. So I love this guitar, man. I love it. Small frets, 7¼ inch radius. I don't want to change a thing on it apart from putting strap locks on it. I've used it at gigs. It's great. It's got all that Strat bell-like goodness. Moving along, this is my master built Telly. It's a John Cruz 56 master built relic Telly. I got this guitar I've owned the longest. Ty, you know, you do country gigs, right? This is ash body, maple neck. I love this guitar.
It's the way a Telly should be.
It's light. I put a Callahan bridge on it with stainless steel saddles. It's got a pair of Don Mayer pickups, a 0038 in the bridge, and a 53 neck. It's got a brass cover. My friend Ken gave me a set of like heavy knurled knobs that I put on the guitar, and otherwise, I had it refretted years ago by our buddy Larry Fitzgerald. Put 6100s on it. That guitar is. I know I have flats on it, dude. I have flat wound 12s.
Nice.
Any string that I put on this guitar sounds killer. I've had 9s on it, amazing. I've got these 12 gauge flat wounds with a plain 20 G string, amazing, awesome.
What color is that, Dennis?
Blonde. Yeah.
It looks like desert sand from here.
Oh yeah, it's blonde. You can see, you can't really see. Yeah, you can see the grain.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can see the grain. It's blonde.
That's sweet.
Yeah, I love this. Moving along, Collings.
Oh yeah.
Collings 290 in TV yellow. Rudy from Rudy's Music, the owner of Rudy's Music in Manhattan. I don't know if it was 5 or 6 years ago, put one of these in my hands, and I was like, wow, this is awesome. It really blew me away. And, you know, a couple of years ago, I found a guy on Reverb who was selling one, right? And then he ended up being in Queens, so he was maybe a half an hour from me. I met him, got the guitar. I changed the pickups. That's the only thing I've changed. I've got P90s. Let me tell you something. I don't know if you know, maybe you guys out there on the interweb can talk about this. Those who are fans of P90s or have what I have, which is a love-hate relationship with P90s. I am a single coil guy, I think, at my heart, even though some of my main guitars are humbucker guitars. My problem with P90s is that I've owned so many P90 guitars, and after a while, I don't know. They're always too. I do feel, and maybe this will be controversial. Who knows? But I do feel that a lot of modern pickup manufacturers are making P90s too mid-rangey. They're too mid forward, too thick in the mids. I played old Les Paul specials and Les Paul juniors and whatnot, and SG specials and juniors, and there's an airiness to the P90s. And the only company that's come along, that, like, I played an old 57, I think, special, or 59 Les Paul special, and that had this airy quality, even though it had a meaty, like that thick P90 tone. TV Jones, those are T90s. That's what I put in this guitar. And he hit it out of the park. It does exactly what they sound like, that old Les Paul special to me, So I love this guitar.
That's a cool guitar.
Play slide through a tweed champ on this guitar. Killer.
That's a cool guitar.
Yeah, it's just killer. So moving down the line here, now my Gretsches. I used to own a lot more Gretsches. I'm a Gretsch freak for sure. But these two are special. This is a custom shop. Let me get it in the light a little bit more. This is a custom shop, Steven Stern master built Gretsch. I bought it last year around May or June.
Look at that. That's gorgeous.
That is amazing.
Yeah, thanks, guys. It's a cool guitar. It is. Dave has seen this up close. It is special in that it is made from reclaimed pine. So, for those who don't know, Gretsch Company was originally a Brooklyn company. They're now based out in California, I believe. But so this is reclaimed pine from the Bliss Building in Dumbo, Brooklyn. So the body is all white pine, the body and top, the neck is yellow pine. Everything on the guitar is wood, is pine. The only thing that's not pine is the bridge base and the fingerboard is rosewood. Even this pickguard cover is pine. All reclaimed wood, like floorboards and joists from the Bliss Building, an old warehouse in Brooklyn, which still stands. Rocky at Street Sounds. It's a guitar shop in Brooklyn. He's the biggest Gretsch dealer in the country. He had this commissioned. It's got a pair of Duncan custom shop Dynasonics in it. And a, what do you call it? A True Arc brass bridge. The bridge is pinned. The guitar is awesome. The guitar is amazing. Very hollow. Everybody thinks they're solid guitars, or a lot of people think that Duo Jets are solid. They're not. They're actually quite hollow. It was Gretsch's quote unquote take or answer to the Les Paul and the Fender Stratocaster, or the Tele. Certainly.
What year was that built, Dennis?
2000 and it's probably 2018. It could be 2019, but I think, yeah, let's be the late 2018 or early 2019. I mean, he put the order in, and it took Steven Stern, it could be a couple of years. I mean, he's got a huge waiting list.
Yeah.
Guitar is awesome. I mean, I had to have it. I mean, it Here's a company that was founded in Brooklyn, and I've got a guitar that was, built with wood from a warehouse in Brooklyn. There's you see nail holes. It's just cool, and it sounds awesome. It sounds fantastic. 12 gauge flat wounds, again, plain G string. And moving along, this is my most recent acquisition. It's a Brian Setzer Smoke. It just came out.
Sweet.
That is it. Hey, look, and there's my vacuum cleaner, an old Electrolux. How about
Nice.
that?
When Dennis brought that guitar to my house, and I had to have one right away. I immediately, as soon as I saw it, I was like, I gotta have one of these.
Yeah, it's cool. There's a little bit of movement in the top and the back on the wood. There's some flame on the sides. Yeah, I think you can see it. Maybe a little bit. Yeah. Great guitar. TV Jones, Ray Butts, full fidelity, Filtertrons, exact recreations of, the original Filtertron pickups, more so than even TV classics. Killer pin bridge. Guitar sounds amazing. Even cooler with flat wound 12s on it. Woo!
So tell everyone where that guitar came from, like the origin of that guitar.
What do you mean, Brian Setzer's?
Yes.
Well, Brian I think for a long time now, it's got to be at least 15 years. It's been Smoke was the nickname that he gave a guitar. What it was is his main stage guitar. And Gretsch this year reissued it, or they came up with their version of it, or whatever, recreated the instrument. I took the pickguard off. It comes with a pickguard, but I like he does. I took the pickguard off. It also because it says Brian Setzer, and whatever. I don't need to have the name. I have I've got a truss rod cover that's plain. I'll put that on there too. No offense, Brian. Just can't get rid of the signature on the back. Nobody's going to see that anyway. But this is it. I mean, it doesn't have a high gloss finish. It's sort of like a satiny kind of finish, very thin, nitro.
Like VOS. It's a VOS finish.
Like VOS. Guitar is killer. Ty, I know you. Dave loves it. I'm sure. I don't know if you're into Gretsch's, but
love Gretsch's. Did you say the bridge was pinned?
Pinned.
Did you have to pin it, or did it?
No. All Setzers come pinned.
Okay.
It's an adjustomatic,
Do you ever have any feedback issues with that guitar on stage?
No, man. I've owned a bunch of vintage selects, like everything from Falcons to 6120s, country clubs, and I've never had any huge issue beyond it. It's fun because you can make it howl if you want to.
Yep.
But I'm usually far enough away from my amp. Yeah, it's never been a problem, dude. The trestle, it's not, it's got trestle bracing that helps on the inside there, but it's never been a real problem. Nah.
Hey, Dennis, do you use the mud switch much on that guitar?
Yeah, actually, because the on the Setzer, the mud switch is here. He flipped it around. The original mud switch, it was kind of unusable. I think they changed the capacitor values, I guess, the capacitors in there. So down is slightly darker. Up, you almost get like a cocked wah sound.
Oh, cool.
So you step on an overdrive, a good overdrive or a fuzz, and it gets all sorts of honky. It's fun.
That's a great looking guitar.
Yeah. I have to add, Dennis is such a good player that he doesn't really use a lot of overdrive or gain when he plays with gainy. So that's another reason why that guitar doesn't really howl. It just gets it out. He's one of those guys that whatever gain he needs, he gets it out of the amp and out of his fingers. It's incredible to listen to him play. Say like Don't Stop Believing by Journey. You know how Neil Schon plays with more gain than anyone should be allowed to play with. This guy does it with minimal gain, and it's very believable.
Well, like when I used to play, thanks, Dave. When I used to play Gretsch's all the time, I would play Don't Stop Believing on that guitar, let's say on the 6120, and that opening the triplet thing.
Yeah.
You can't play it up high. You can't reach it, and it doesn't sustain at all up there. So I just played it down an octave. mean, who cares?
Right.
Maybe put
That's-
a wah-wah on, make
that's
it,
cool.
you know, sweep the wah, like do something different, you know.
Oh, that's cool.
And have fun, you know.
Yeah.
And then the last guitar back there is a 6-string, is a baritone,
Baritone.
electro.
Yep.
Yeah, that's gotta have one of those in the stable
Yeah,
for
man.
sure.
That's awesome.
So that's it.
That's so cool. So, is there anything you want to plug, Dan? Any,
Plug?
you know, your website or you know where we can find your music and stuff?
Well, sure. DennisDelGaudio.com is my website. It's still, I mean, it's up and running. I'm still, you know, adding things to it. I put my guitars up. There's some guitars up there that actually I think I may have sold.
Tell us about the guitars that you're selling. Yeah, you want to? Yeah, are they near that you can maybe, you know, see if anyone's interested in buying them? You could do that.
No, I mean, I've got a 2005 Esquire, a Fender Esquire. It's like a 60, you know, custom shop. I think only 100 of them were made. It's ash body, rosewood slab board neck. You know, one really like hot, almost like broadcaster pickup. It's like 10K. It's an awesome guitar. I'm selling that. I'm selling a 69 Masterbuilt Strat. It's a Jason Smith. It's black over pink paisley. Cool.
That
Roasted
sounds cool.
wood.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's roasted woods. It's a great guitar. And then I'm selling a Gretsch. I've got a Jet Firebird, a double cut, just like Malcolm Young's.
Malcolm. Yeah.
When
Sweet.
it was still red. Yeah. It's that guitar is mint. It's brand new. All the guitars are in like new condition. They haven't been knocked around, and yeah, and I've got a few acoustics. I got to come down and hang out, man. We got to hang out, Ty. We can play something. We got to check out the guitars. But
I'd love that.
Yeah, a couple of Martins and a Gibson J200 and.
Well, Ty's coming up for the wedding. If as long as we have one, you know, because of this virus, you never know. You know, you never know that far in advance. But if we, I mean, as of now, the party after the wedding is still on, but you never know what might happen. Yeah. But Ty will be here. Ty and his wife will be here, so we'll be able to talk guitars and stuff. Maybe, maybe Ty will bring one guitar up or whatever. It's, you know.
Yeah, I mean, Dave and I live so close to one another that, you know, we can just come on over, man.
Yeah, we live literally 3 minutes away from each other.
We can make lots of noise where I live. I back up to a horse farm.
Oh, here's a message from the old lady. The beautiful old lady she is. Yes. What I'll try to do, because I'm computer illiterate. I'll try to put a link to Dennis's website and a description in this video
band,
somehow.
I just got a text from Zoe, my girlfriend, saying you need to work on your plugs. So yeah, I mean, my website is DennisDelGaudio.com.
Can you tell this is our second show?
But on my website is there's a link, there's a tab for my band, DelGaudio. And there's some videos you can check out the band. I mean, we're just getting underway. And the whole website's under construction still, like I said, and you know, I'll be adding more to it. But my band is, you know, that's my main focus, and you know, we're going to be recording soon, and you know, it's a trio. It's a good guys, music school grad guys. They're 20 years younger than me, and they're just their hearts are in the right place. They're old souls, good guys.
That's cool.
Very cool.
Look forward to hearing that.
Oh yeah.
Ty, is there anything else you want to show us? I you know, I know you got a couple guitars that you know, you have this Les Paul Custom that I would love to see.
You want to see?
Is that around?
It's not far away.
Or how about maybe the other Les Paul?
Yeah, well, I can get either of those. I'll tell you what. There's something I want to show Dennis though. So give me just a second, and I'll grab that.
Awesome. So let me see what else is going on in the. Oh, Johnny Bean just put it up. It's DennisDelGaudio.com/DelGaudio.
Johnny, thank you, buddy.
Johnny Bean, you rock. Thank you so much. And again, I want to thank Johnny Bean for being so gracious as to pretty much teaching me how to do this. I've been on Johnny's show for over 5 years now, and he takes all of my shit and puts up with me, and I appreciate it. And if it wasn't for him, I wouldn't be able to do this. So thank you, Johnny. I appreciate that. And come and see us tomorrow night, by the way. Tomorrow night on Johnny Bean's channel, we have 2 guests tomorrow night, which I'm really, really excited to have. We're going to have Larry Mitchell on the show tomorrow night. And we're going to have the owner of Nags Guitars, Peter Wolf, one of the owners of Nags Guitars, as a special guest. And I cannot wait to talk to him and learn more about the Nags Guitars. I certainly will not be showing this on that show, but I cannot wait to have those 2 as a guest tomorrow night. That's with me, Johnny Bean, and Jay Hannon. Let's see. And I also want to thank everyone that stayed here and hung with us tonight. Cameron Brown. Hey, Cameron. I'm sorry I didn't get a chance to say hello to you. And if I didn't mention your name, forgive me. I'll try to mention it on the next show, and I'll try to be more astute to the chat. I know you're all talking to each other and you're all hanging out, and you all have great stuff to say. So I'll do a better job as I learn how to become a good host here. So there you go.
A gracious host.
A gracious host. Yeah, I'm a good host. Fuck everybody. No, I'm just kidding. Anyway, yeah, gracious host. I need to learn a little bit more about, this type of thing. And I'm, and running this computer thing in front of me. All right, Ty, let's see the guitar.
All right. So, for one more for tonight. Sometimes some wood comes together and it decides very quickly that it wants to be a guitar. And it just has a soul. It just plays and plays very, very well and inspires the player just to be better. And I would say that in the last couple of years, this is the guitar for me that has just been the most soulful and inspirational guitar that I play. Even though my soul is rooted in rock and roll, I'm a humbucker guy. I love the sound of humbuckers, but like I said last week, there's something really, really special about single coils. For me, they're just much more musical. I love the sound of a single coil. I even love the hum of a single coil. I don't mind that noise. Kind of like I don't mind the noise of those P90s. You're doing something at that point. All right, so this is a David. You mentioned this color a minute ago. This is a desert sand. This is a custom shop 55 Fender Strat. Limited edition. I want to say these were limited to 100 pieces. I'm not sure how many were made in this color. This is just a magnificent guitar. It's got an insane neck, roasted maple neck. Can I catch some flame on
Oh, you got it.
Yeah, it's there.
So a lot of flame. There's a lot of pretty things about this neck. But the thing that is most special about this guitar is just the way it plays and the way it inspires you. And I'm just a fundamental believer that is that's why we buy guitars, because they move us to do something creative, to bring something out, right? And this guitar does it. So it's a custom shop Strat that was built in 2018.
What kind of pickups? What pickups?
These are the Tomateo pickups.
Oh, yeah, Tomateo, actually.
There is a great demo that Greg Kopp does online of these pickups. They are they're just they're just special. The other thing that's really interesting about this Strat is it does have this blender knob here.
Love
So,
that.
you know, you can get some telly-like sounds out of this guitar. It is a roasted alder body. You can kind of see the alder through the paint there. So the body's roasted, the neck is roasted. This guitar stays in tune so well. This is set up a 10-46 Ernie Ball RPS strings. Just this guitar's just got a lot of soul, and definitely
awesome.
definitely one of my favorites.
Beautiful. I love the Desert Sand. I think great.
I do too. And you put it on stage, and depending on the lighting, sometimes it can look white, sometimes it can look a little green.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just a magnificent guitar. I would have bought it if it were any color. This guitar just sounds so good. Sometimes you just pick them up and you know right away, well, that's a guitar.
Awesome.
So
Absolutely beautiful.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Love it. Love this neck. Interesting about this neck, 9.5-inch radius, but it still feels. So it's a 9.5 all the way. Still feels very fast down here, but great chordally here. You know, so chords here and here just feel so comfortable. Yeah, great guitar. Stays in tune even with these vintage tuners. You know, you were talking, Dennis, about changing out because the radius was a bit loose. These are super tight, and I love the vintage look of them. So great stuff. Yep.
Yeah. Plus, the split shaft is probably the best invention ever.
Split shaft is the way to go.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I love what's coming out of the custom shop right now.
Right.
I mean, I love what's coming out of the custom shop.
Yeah.
Good.
So, yep.
Nice.
Thank
I
you.
just want to quickly give two more shout outs, and I want to thank Larry Mitchell for pushing me to do my own show and you know, pretty much drilling me to do this. I want to thank him for that. Great thank you so much. And also my lovely fiance Desiree Dornan, who has also stood behind me and pushed me to do this, and no matter what happens, she's always there for me. And I just want to thank the two of you from the bottom of my heart. Thank you so much. I also want to give a shout out to John Mancuda, one of my other great friends and co-hosts on the Johnny Bean Show. Thank you for checking it out, and thanks for being there. Also, thanks for saying the nicest things and helping with the show. Thank you. And on that note, you guys have anything else to say? Anyone in the chat want to say something or want to add anything? Tell us about your guitars. Larry, you have not said what your favorite guitar and what your best guitar is. Can you give us that real quick before we say goodnight?
And Dave,
yes.
I want to say that this is awesome that you're doing this, man, and you're doing a great job.
Oh, thank you very much. I appreciate it. We both appreciate it. It's so much fun. The time goes so fast. You know, it really does. Yeah, because we wanted to make this an hour. In the beginning, we were talking, we'll do an hour show. We'll get everything. You can't do it in an hour. It just can't be done. You know, to get a good show, it's got to be an hour and a half at 2 hours. And you know, thanks to everyone here. Thanks to everyone that's watching. And you know, and the fact that I have you as a guest tonight. Thank you so much. I really appreciate you coming on. I know you're a busy dude.
No, dude, I am not so busy right now. But both you guys do a great job. And thank you both for having me on.
Thank you for being here. Yeah,
I enjoyed talking about gear like we all do, and geeking out and all that other stuff. You know, it's fun from the comfort of our own homes.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know.
Yeah. So Larry has come up with 3 guitars so far. I don't know which is the best and which is his favorite, so I'm going to say that they're both his best. All three of his are his best and favorite, or maybe I don't know yet. So his maple Nags guitar Severin. It's a Larry Mitchell model. It's I guess like I don't know what the official color is, but it looks like a trans black charcoal color with a maple neck on it.
Yeah.
And I've played that guitar. It's absolutely amazing. That's the guitar that has made me fall in love with Nags guitars and what has made me want more and more. And that's really what made me order the one that I'm getting. And then he has a 1998 Ibanez Blazer from the LA Custom Shop. I've also played that guitar. I actually had that in my house for a little while he was playing other guitars. He hadn't bonded with it just yet. And I love that guitar. I thought that guitar was beautiful. It played and sounded fantastic. It was very, it had a very vintage Fender feel to it. And then, when he was like, "Hey, can I have my guitar back?" I was like, "Yeah." And he fell in love with it. He then fell in love with it.
Okay.
And then he has a historic collection 58 Les Paul that I don't necessarily say I helped him get it. Maybe I did. I took him to the Music Zoo and he played some guitars and that's the one he loved. And it literally was probably the best guitar there at the time, sounding, looking, feeling. It was just a great guitar and he decided to go with it. And I'm glad he did because it's a great guitar. It's a guitar I would own. Actually, pretty much all of Larry's guitars are guitars I could own, including this one. I could own that one. Oh, that's right. I do own that one. Actually, Larry owns it. I would say it's on permanent vacation here at this house. And I'm never going to sell it, never going to get rid of it. But Larry, I'm telling you this right now. If there was any time that you say, "Hey, Dave, can I have my guitar back?" You absolutely cannot. No, I'm just kidding. You can have it back. If I want it and I'm keeping it, but if there's ever a time that you say, "Hey, can I have my guitar back?" Absolutely, I'd send it back to you. It would hurt my heart to send it back, but I would.
Because you're a swell fella, Dave. You're a swell fella.
I'm a fell swella. All right, so yeah, Larry says I had his Blazer for a year. Yeah, whenever you leave a guitar here, it's at least for a year. But yes, I think it was about a year I had that guitar, and I played it. Maybe it was the mojo of me playing it, and then Larry got it back. I was like, "Whoa, this is a great guitar now." I don't know. Who knows?
Is this the wrong place to say that I think, Larry, I used you had a Godin, nylon string Godin. Dave, didn't you hold on to that for a little while? Yeah,
I had one of his here. I know you used it. He may know. I'm sure he knows you didn't. You did. I don't know. What's he going to do? Beat me up?
For a certain gig. I mean, it was like 4 years ago now, but
yeah,
cool guitar.
Yeah, those Godins are great. I think Larry's got a few of those, at least roaming around the country or even the world.
Hey, Larry, players can order your signature guitar through Nags now, right? Or through a Nags dealer.
I think, yeah, I'm sure. I actually saw a couple of shop impressions on Facebook.
Yes.
By Peter Wolf at Nags. And there is, I believe, one being built now, one or two Larry Mitchell model Severins being built right now. So, yeah, they're amazing.
Yeah, I'm sure they are.
Yeah, he says they're making a few right now. That's awesome. That's very cool. Let's see. Chris Bevan says, "Great show, Dave. Good work. Good work. Thanks for your guests." Oh, you know what? I got to thank actually, I have one guest. Ty is my co-host. He'll be here every week working his rear end off so I can just sit on my butt and do nothing. So I appreciate him. And I got to tell you, Ty, thank you so much because you're amazing. You're also a wealth of knowledge. You're very well spoken. You have great instruments, and you really know what you're talking about. And I appreciate having you here with us.
Thanks, Dave. It's a pleasure to be here.
You're awesome, dude. When you're up here in June,
Yeah,
we're gonna play loud guitars here at my place. Okay?
I would love that. I can't wait to get my hands on that Gretsch.
Oh yeah, we got it. Whatever. I'll have the whole stable out. We'll be banging away. I've got a horse farm behind me. I can play guitar 24/7.
Dennis, don't say you'll be banging away.
No. Okay.
a little mancuda in the
rephrase.
show doesn't hurt.
That's funny.
Oh, that is awesome. I want to plug those of you who don't know, I also build guitars and I set up guitars, and I have this little website called theguitarwhisperer.guru. If you're interested in having a bolt-on guitar, because I don't do Les Pauls and I don't do hollow bodies and I don't do acoustics. I'm sorry, it's not that good. But if anyone who wants any type of custom bolt-on guitar done, Strat Telly style, replica, I'm not going to say striped or anything, or you want any type of old Charvel looking thing, or what graphic, a George Lynch graphic, whatever. I do build those. I have me and my partner do the and I mean partner in building guitars. We have a little business here. We're getting busy, so if you're interested in having something built, I suggest getting in touch with me at theguitarwhisperer.guru. That's WHISPERER.guru. I also do setups. You can send me your guitar and I'll set it up the way you want it. I'm not, because not everyone likes the way I set my guitars up. Dennis will be one of them. He likes a slightly higher action than I like and slightly heavier strings. But I promise you, I will set the guitar up exactly the way you want it and send it back to you as fast as I can. Right now, I don't have that long of a wait time. So I'm happy to do that. The way to get to me or reach me is through my website, being theguitarwhisperer.guru. There's a comment section. I also have a photo section of some of the guitars that we've built and painted. And just contact me. You'll leave me your email address and your phone number, and I'll get back to you ASAP, and we can talk about it.
I sent this guitar to Dave. I sent it out on a Monday, on a 2-day ground. Sent it out on a Monday, and I had it back on the same Friday. Played it Friday and Saturday night. It was and then Dave and I had a couple of conversations about the guitar once you got it, just in terms of how I was going to use it, what I needed to be different with the setup, what I liked. There was a good consultation that went in to this Sir guitar, and I was very, very pleased when I got it back. Very pleased.
Thank you. That makes me feel good.
Dave, you're the man.
I should be in detention. And a little anthrax. Larry says Dave does great setups. Thank you, Larry. I appreciate it. Yeah, I've set up most of Larry's guitars, and he and I have very similar likes in what a guitar should play like, and what we have a very similar taste in guitars in general and setups. So it was very easy to do that for him. And for Ty, I mean, Ty likes the guitar set up the way I have mine. The action is very low. I don't know if you can see this at all, but the action is very low on the fretboard. I don't really mind if a guitar has a little buzz acoustically, but when you plug it into amp, you don't hear anything. That's pretty much it. I keep the necks very straight. I don't have any relief in my necks. I think that's the difference between me and Dennis. He likes a little bit of relief and a slightly higher action. But again, that's what he likes. And if I was to set his guitars up, which he does his own and a great job at it, but if I was to set his guitars up, that's what I would do, is give him slight a slight relief and a slightly higher action with heavier strings. And there you go. So contact me if you're interested in any of that stuff. And, you can leave comments down on these videos. I'll try to get back to you. Ty and myself will try to get back to you and answer them as fast as we can. And that's pretty much it. The last thing I want to say is, please, if you can, try to make tomorrow night's show on the Johnny Bean channel at 8 p.m., where our guests will be Peter Wolf from Nags Guitars and Larry Mitchell from Larry Mitchell. And it should be a great show. We'll be talking about Nags guitars and their origins and the different models and stuff. Larry is at Nags Guitar in Dorsey, and we'll be talking about his guitars as well. And it'll be a great time. That's with me, Johnny Bean, and Jay Hannon, 7 over 8, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I want to thank everyone again for checking this out and staying till the end. We'll be back here next Thursday night at 8 p.m. I'm not sure if we'll have a guest, but I know that the content would be, it's going to be a good conversation. We started talking about it, Ty and I. Good name. We got to take that. We started talking about the content for next week yesterday. And it's looking to be real good. Another thing where everyone can join in and let's all talk about it. So stay tuned for that. Dennis, thank you so much for joining us tonight. And stick around. Don't just leave. Ty, thank you again as always. Thank you so much. And again, everyone in the chat, thanks, and we'll see you on the next one.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
So long, everyone.